Guys, welcome back. In case you're joining us for the first time, my name is Solomon and I'm a nurse in the UK. Have you ever wondered about the NHS pension scheme and whether opting out is a smart move, or maybe you're like me and you have already opted out, but you're wondering if that's the problem? Well, my friend, you're in the right place. And after watching this video, you might change your mind or not. I'll leave that up to you. Now, quick disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor and I am no expert on pension funds, but I believe the content of this video will inspire somebody to do their own research and make informed decisions. To be honest, I'm beginning to think that opting out in my own case was one of the bad financial decisions I have made, and I'll tell you why. Now, why I left the NHS pension scheme is this. Many people in the NHS have opted out of the NHS pension. Last year alone, over 70,000 NHS workers left the pension scheme. Why? Well, like most people, I left the pension scheme in the first 2 years of joining. Of course, you get a refund for doing that because I wanted to use the money. Quick cash, that's usually what the reason is, isn't it? That's exactly the problem with many of us. We want to spend today what would have benefited us in the future for life. The NHS pension scheme is one of the most generous schemes in the country. You pay only a certain percentage of your salary into your pension pot depending on your salary band. In England, for example, your employer pays in extra 20.68%, and this is even slightly higher in Scotland, where your employer is meant to pay 20.9%. The employer contribution of 20.68% every year to your pension pot is forfeited when you opt out. Your pension contribution is deducted monthly before tax, so you won't have to worry about income tax on your contributions. Essentially, what this means is employees who pay pension contribution pay less overall in income tax than those who have opted out. So it might look like you have higher take-home pay, but you are losing on tax cuts and contributions from your employer. Being part of the scheme also comes with guaranteed benefits for you and your family, including a lifelong pension upon retirement, fully backed by the UK government. And don't forget, your loved ones are covered too. In case of unfortunate events, they may be eligible for benefits like a lump sum that is being paid out to your dependents and pensions for your spouse and dependent children. I know that nobody prays for bad things to happen, but what if you are not able to work anymore because of a long-term disability or some permanent illness? Now think about that for a moment and let that sink in a little bit. Let's be pragmatic here. Do you have enough investment right now to sustain you, or do you think you will have enough investment in the near future to sustain you if you do become ill? Well, with the pension scheme, you can retire early and start collecting your benefits if you fall ill permanently. And if you opted out of the pension scheme because you plan to move to another country, just know that your pension contribution is never lost. If eligible, you can transfer your pension contribution and benefits accrued to the place you are moving to. But if otherwise, maybe you're not eligible for that route because of maybe the type of pension scheme that is used where you're traveling to, then of course you can as well wait till you hit the retirement age and cash out from both countries. I mean, there's no stress in doing that. Meanwhile, if what you are relying on is state pension, then think about this. If the state pension was enough to cover you, why do you think anybody would bother using other schemes like the NHS pension scheme? And think about that for a minute. Full state pension, as at the time of making this video, is only £203 per week. Now calculate that for a month. That's about £800 ish. Do you think that's enough to sustain you? Don't you think you'd be better off receiving both state and NHS pensions at the same time? Now, just as a side note, to qualify for the full state pension of £203 in the UK, you must have contributed up to 35 years of national insurance. So that NIA that we all pay, you have to have contributed 35 years of national insurance before you are qualified for the state pension. However, if you contribute a minimum of 10 years or less than 35 years, you will get something, just not the full amount. Now, bear that in mind. Things might change in the future, hopefully for the better. Otherwise, this is the information we have at the moment. Now, let's do a quick math. If you earn 40,000, for example, as a nurse in the UK per annum, then you fall in the category of those who contribute 9.8% to your pension pot. Now, add 20.68% that your employer contributes. Now, this money continues to rise annually in line with inflation, so it is inflation proof and has zero investment risks attached. There are formulas used to arrive at your final retirement benefit, including a lump sum, depending on which year's tax scheme you are on. But this video is not about that. What I am drawing your attention to is what you stand to lose if you opt out, like the extra 20.68% from your employer, for example. Now, let's talk about private pension scheme and how that compares with the NHS pension scheme. I actually gave this a thought when I opted out of the NHS pension scheme because what I thought to myself was, what if I arrange a private pension scheme or some other private investment for myself? The purpose of this video is not necessarily to tell you which scheme is better between private and the NHS pensions. But here's what I know. With private pension schemes, the growth of your pension pot is usually based on market performance. What this means is usually your pension contribution is invested in the stock market, and this means that you stand the chance of losing if the market does not grow, as much as there's a possibility for higher returns. As we all know, the financial market fluctuates. But with the NHS pension scheme, you need not worry about investment risk or inflation because your pension pot will increase in line with inflation anyway. So it is inflation proof basically. Well, some of you may argue that there are other ways to save and invest for retirement. No doubt, I agree. But the real question is, how many people are really investing in something solid enough to sustain them when they are no longer able to work? So some people tell me, oh, I will invest in properties and the properties are going to grow in value and pay me later in life. My question is, since you opted out, how much have you saved by yourself and how much investment have you made with what you saved? Now think about this. Isn't it possible for you to keep your pension contribution going while saving, even if it's a little, for these other investments that you think about? My question again to you is, since you opted out, how much have you saved by yourself? If you saved anything at all, compare it to the analysis I gave in the video about the compounding effect of the pension scheme. Now, here's my personal view. If in the near future you hit a major milestone in wealth creation, you can decide to resign from the NHS job. Like, there's a popular YouTuber we all know. He used to be a doctor, Ali Abdal. So he left the NHS after he blew up on YouTube. If that becomes your reality in the future and you hit it big, why not? You can as well leave the NHS job and opt out of the NHS pension contribution. But for now, my advice is, while you are still able to do it, don't leave the scheme yet. You may end up spending your future today. Anyways, I thought to share this with you today. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section about pensions, specifically the NHS pension. As for me, come next April, I am opting back into the NHS pension scheme, no doubt. If you found this video useful, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this one. Alright, until I see you again next time, bye for now.